Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and you bet your ass Andy's here.
Michael,
Even so, right?
I'm here, Michael. I'm here with a cold, but I'm here.
He's here. He's sniffling, but he's here.
It's fucking cold, man.
It's not, it's not the cold. It's
a cold.
It is that. Okay, yeah, sure. But it's just the change of temperatures lately, dude. We had a 72-degree day 2 days ago.
And now it was 20 degrees. Yeah,
Why?
my balls can't take it.
Why? Why? Yeah, it's brutal. But, guys, not as brutal as the case we're talking today.
No, Michael. Not many jokes to be made about this one.
Dude, it's been a while since I was reading an article while studying, and it literally brought me to tears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is one of the most devastating retellings of a mass shooting I think we've covered. This is like Port Arthur massacre.
Yeah, because this is such more of an up close and personal mass shooting that we're even comfortable with. Like we've gotten so comfortable with them, covering them on this podcast and in America, but this was one of those ones that was just so up close and personal that it's just so uncomfortable to even go back and retell.
It really is. It's shocking. It's terrifying. It wasn't that long ago, 1991.
Mm-hmm. And because it's still hardly any answers to it. That's one of the reasons it's still shocking to us is the fact that there's no
hardly.
answers.
Well, we got some pretty good things we can speculate on, but nothing confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing confirmed. But before we get into it, I got to remind you guys that you can catch these episodes early and ad-free on Patreon. Patreon.com/True Crime Guys. It's the best way to support the show. For just $3 a month, guys, you get access to these episodes on Tuesday instead of Thursday. And there's also some bonus content at the end. Me and Andy usually talk for 15-20 minutes, just get caught up on life, talk about things we're interested in, whatnot. Sometimes we talk about the case a little bit. It varies, but all that is on Patreon. Patreon.com/True Crime Guys. But today we're talking about Lunchtime at Luby's, the Luby shooting, also known as the Luby's massacre. But it was a mass shooting that took place on October 16th, 1991 at Luby's Cafeteria in Killeen, Texas. The perpetrator was 35-year-old George Pierre Hennard, later changed his name to George Joe Hennard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, George Joe.
This was Texas back at the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have a French name in there.
No. But old George Joe killed 23 people and wounded 27 others. This is no joke.
No, this was, like I said, this was a very up close and personal shooting that still is very uncomfortable.
Brutal, spontaneous, senseless.
Mm-hmm.
All the boxes are checked. So, yeah, let's get into it, Andy. Let's roll that intro.
All right, Michael.
We had gone there for Boss's Day, and we were just finishing lunch, and the truck came crashing through. And my original reaction was the guy lost his brakes. What an embarrassing situation.
And we thought he'd had a heart attack or his brakes had failed him or something. And then he started shooting out the window. Well, we knew something's up.
And somebody, I believe it was my boss, but it could have been someone else, said, "Hit the floor now." So I did. And the firing just started, and it just seemed like hours, and it continued. And he just kept circling and shooting and circling and shooting.
Then when I got up, I never did look back because I knew if I did, he'd probably really shoot me then. Because they said if anybody looked at him or said anything, that's when he really shot.
But when he kept going around, it was obvious it wasn't just a person he was after.
I was there with my parents, and making a long story short, my father went at the guy because he felt like he had to do something. And he was shot in the chest. I was able to get out. My mother stayed with my father, and eventually Hennard got around to her. Anger and guilt were very common among everybody.
All right, guys, so we're not wasting any time. We're getting right to the day of, because we have a very detailed account. So the day is Wednesday, October 16th, 1991. Belton, Texas resident George Hennard started his day off around 5:45 a.m. He grabbed a sausage biscuit at the local gas station. This was all normal for him. He was a regular there, right? But he didn't have any cash on him that morning. So he asked the clerk if she could just put it on his tab. And, you know, she was a little put off by it. She thought he was a little anxious. But He was a regular, so the clerk told him it was fine, and he promised that he'd return with the money.
Again, this is the 90s.
It's the 90s. Yeah, very chill.
Very small town.
And think
very
about it.
chill.
He stops there every day. This is a locally owned store, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? It's not a chain. This ain't a Shell gas station.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the clerk did say that his tone sounded anxious and strained, and honestly, she thought he was lying. But Hennard left the store. He got onto his bike, and he pedaled back to his house at the intersection of Wall and 14th. Meanwhile, as the morning hours were carrying on, Luby's Cafeteria was opening its doors. It was National Bosses Day, and the cafeteria had been advertising itself as the ideal place to go for lunch.
Okay.
Right, so quite a bit of marketing going on around Luby's. Employees arrived and began prepping the food. In about an hour, an estimated 162 people would be inside the restaurant this day.
That's a pretty big restaurant.
162 people.
Yeah.
Now, to understand the layout, right in the center of the dining room, there was a giant planter that had like lattice all the way around the sides that basically, pointed in every direction.
Yeah, it makes like a giant plus sign if you're looking down on it. Like
Yes.
a huge plus sign right in the middle of it.
Exactly. So at this time, people are seated all around that. There is that in the middle, and then, of course, there's a long line at the door, and there's people coming in. One of those people was Tommy Vaughn. He was a 28-year-old mechanic. He was at Luby's to celebrate the birthday of one of his co-workers, Paul Lombard. But Vaughn and 7 other employees from the Mazda dealership had come to spend time with Lombard before they got back to work. Now, Vaughn was 6'6", and he weighed almost 350 pounds. He literally could have been like a pro wrestler, dude. Like, this guy was huge.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, and he really comes into play in all this. He was a frequent visitor of Luby's. He was a regular, if you will. He loved the restaurant's desserts, but on this day, he was trying to cut back on the sugar, right? So he skipped the sweets and just went right to the table with his coworkers. And this action, not waiting in line for the desserts right there at the beginning, may have saved his life.
Okay.
So, meanwhile, in the parking lot, Eddie Sanchez was dropping off his pregnant girlfriend, Angela Wilson. She worked part-time at Luby's. Sanchez was about to start driving when he saw a flash of blue coming from the lot's west entrance. He thought, man, that guy's going too damn fast. It was a 1987 Ford Ranger. It sped past Sanchez's vehicle at very high speed. Meanwhile, James and Judy Fowl were walking towards the entrance of Luby's and saw the truck coming as well. Miss Fowl screamed, "He's going to hit us." Her husband quickly jerked her out of the way. Kirby Lack heard the truck before he saw it. The noise of squealing tires. Griffith, he heard it too. Lack peeked out of the cafeteria's curtains just in time to see a blue pickup swerve past his own parked truck. The floor-to-ceiling window shattered. Glass flew everywhere. The pickup truck came to a sudden halt right near the cash register.
Now, you're about to say too, but immediately everybody has to think this is an accident.
Right.
This is 1991. This looks like an out-of-control car that has literally just careened through a restaurant.
Right.
So everybody immediately is thinking, is the driver okay?
Exactly.
Which is crazy to have to think in this moment.
It really is. It really is. And also, I want to take this break to mention the fact that I mention a lot of names, right? I'm going to be mentioning a lot of names, and it's just to give humanity to these people. I don't expect you to remember every single name here. Now, there are some people that play bigger roles in this story than others, and there are some that we didn't mention, right? So just be aware of that. But we do have a list of everyone who was killed on this day as well during the podcast. But I just wanted you guys to know that. We're using the names so you can remember that these were real people. Mm-hmm. So, and like Andy said, everyone did think this was an accident. Like, did he have a heart attack? Did his brakes fail? What happened? But something told there were some witnesses later that said that just something told them that it was just intentional. Yeah. It was just too intentional. But as Andy said, several patrons ran over to help those who were hit. Kirby Lack, who knew first aid and was certified in CPR, he stepped towards the bumper of the truck. Thomas Simmons, who had managed to move out of the way, ran towards the driver's door with his arm reaching out for the handle. The window of the truck was rolled down. The driver extended his own arm out towards Simmons and fired. The 33-year-old man fell onto his knees. He saw the 9mm Glock 17 semi-automatic and tried to brace himself by covering his face. Bang! Simmons fell flat onto his back, dead.
So yeah, this guy literally, he crashes in, and before he even gets out of his car, he shoots a man 3 times.
Yes.
Like, he shoots him 3 times before he ever even opens his door. So there is no questions anymore about accident.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing that's said. There's no yelling. There's no, besides the screaming from everybody in the restaurant, this guy doesn't say a word.
No, it is, and pretty soon it becomes awkward silence.
Yeah.
And just fear. I mean, it's palpable. In seconds, patrons they dove underneath their tables. They turned them over as cover, barriers, whatever they could get behind. Those in the serving line, however, had basically no protection. Mm-hmm. So they just hit the floor. Still in his truck, George shot the already injured Louis Caraballo. Then he aimed towards the west wall, where Glenn Spivey and Dee Leisure were sitting. Frozen in her seat, Leisure felt something strike her cheek with terrifying velocity. Leisure saw the gun and knew right then and there what had happened. "Glenn," she said, "I've been shot." In a desperate attempt to protect his friend, Glenn ushered Dee past the bathroom alcove, hoping to hide in the walkway that led towards the kitchen. But more shots rang out, and they hit the floor. Spivey covered Leisure with his body. The shooter emerged from his truck. "This is for the women of Belton," is what he screamed. Kirby Lack saw him. The man was 6'1", weighing no more than 140 pounds. Then he screamed, "This is for what Bell County did to me and my family. This is payback. Was it worth it?" And he unloaded his weapon at point-blank range.
He says this like a couple of times, that like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? And nope, that's one of the things that like nobody has an answer to what he's talking about.
Yeah, nobody has any idea.
He doesn't leave a manifesto. He doesn't leave letters behind. He doesn't make any phone calls beforehand. Like, something has triggered this man, and we do not know what he is even screaming about.
It's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, and he like Michael says, he doesn't say much. He says these few lines when he gets out of the car, and some of the witnesses say that he does say like, "Was it worth it?" like a few times, but then it's just nothing. He just goes quiet after that.
And at this point, he's just on a rampage. He then turns around and shoots Olgica Taylor in the leg before moving towards the central planter that we were talking about earlier in the center of the restaurant. The Ford Ranger had stopped right next to the table of the Isdale family. Hennard was close. Jean Isdale watched as her son and daughter-in-law shielded the body of their baby, their little daughter Summer, who was still in her carrier. Hennard ignored them, and instead, he shot through the gap between the north and west lattices. The first shot struck Stephen Ernst in the stomach. The next one hit Judy. The bullet went through her arm and struck her mother, Venice, killing her. Ernest clutched his wound as blood began to seep through his shirt. Taking a few steps from the central planter, Hennard then shot at Barbara Knight and Kitty Davis. The bullet entered Knight's ankle and destroyed 3 of Davis's fingers as it exited.
That is one of the most devastating shots. Like, I know he doesn't kill anybody with that one shot, but with one shot, it goes through someone's ankle and literally takes off the other girl, like 3 of the other girl's fingers.
Yeah.
Like,
because they're kind of just laying, beside each other on the ground, or behind each other, rather.
Like, that is a devastating shot with one bullet.
Yes. Knight kept still, refusing to flinch or move. She could only see the shooter from the waist down. Near their table, a man with his pregnant wife laid next to each other. The husband, James Gillette, kept track of Hennard's movements. As soon as he got the opportunity, he was planning to jump him. "Quit moving," his wife whispered. "He might kill us if you don't stop." Like Knight, she could only see the shooter's waist and legs, but she also saw the gun being aimed downward at someone. Without thinking, Celia began to recite the Lord's Prayer. So a lot of people were doing it. There was a lot of praying, a lot of whimpering, a lot of crying, and that's the only noises there were other than gunfire.
Yeah, this is, again, small town Texas in 1991. There's a lot, like if you go back and watch some of the videos about these people and the witnesses, they are a lot of small town Christian people. And most of them talk about praying and just being very afraid and asking God to save them.
And unfortunately, they were all law-abiding people because it was illegal to conceal carry a weapon in Texas at the time, and no one had their gun with them. Guns were in the vehicles.
Which blew my mind just thinking about like this is Texas.
It's got to be
Nobody
mentioned.
has at this point in Texas, it was illegal to conceal and carry a firearm anywhere.
Yep.
So, I don't know if it was legal to open carry, but it was illegal to conceal and carry. So none of the patrons were able to have any protection.
Right, exactly. Hennard then injured Michael Griffith with 2 bullets, one to the leg, the other to the chest. Griffith braced himself with his back against the wall. He tried to stand, but his body was too weak. Next to him, Hennard fired into the prone bodies of James and Lula Welsh, the same elderly couple that Griffith was trying to comfort moments earlier. Meanwhile, the employees of Luby's found their escape route through the kitchen thanks to a standard emergency exit. Not one employee of Luby's was hurt.
No, they were all able to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. And they escaped the building. Well, most escaped the building, while 2 other employees actually found makeshift hiding spaces. 17-year-old Mark Matthews crawled into an industrial dishwasher, and Maria Cerna ran into a large refrigerator. And she placed milk crate cartons in front of her inside the refrigerator just in case.
Yeah, these 2 were smart as fuck.
Yeah.
The guy who climbed inside the dishwasher, Jesus Christ, I thought about like LL Cool J and Deep Blue Sea, just climbing inside the oven. Like he just literally was just moving shit out of there and just jumped inside the dishwasher and closed the door. I'm like, this mother's got some survival instincts right here.
Yeah.
This dude is getting the fuck out of here.
Right. Now, at this time, the slide of Hennard's primary weapon was locked open. He was out of bullets. Lack stood up and clutched onto a rolling chair, a million thoughts racing through his mind. Kirby Lack. He thought, should I throw something at him? Should I tackle him? Should I make a run for it? But when he stood up, he heard the sound of a metallic click, and somebody peeked up from underneath the table when a retired Vietnam vet screamed, "My God, he's reloading." Hennard had released the spent magazine and pulled a new one out of his shirt pocket. He turned towards Lack's table, shooting Doty in the chest. Hennard then shot Lack in the back upper hip, with the bullet traveling into his abdomen. "Was it worth it?" he asked the patrons aloud. "The women of Belton and Killeen are vipers," he screamed.
Very incel-like.
Very incel-like.
He does have some early incel tendencies when he starts screaming out, but again, no manifesto left behind.
No manifesto. We don't
letters,
know.
No cries for justice other than what he screams during the massacre.
Exactly. But he continued to fire, sending 3 shots into the back torso of Kitty Davis. Then he moved over to the southeast and looked underneath a table, spotting TU Electric employees Deborah Gray and Suzanne Rashut. Hennard executed both women with close-range shots to the head. In that same area, he killed Ruth Pujol, who was right in front of Susan Hester. A deadly silence had fallen over the restaurant. Hennard was still making his way around. People prayed quietly. Others made noises when they were hit, but other than that, it was about dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
Those in the serving line were too scared to move towards the front doors, fearing that Hennard could come around the corner at any moment. Seated in the back of the restaurant, Betty Lou Cooper and her daughter, Jody Raspberry, had seized their own opportunity to escape. While Hennard was executing people in the south end, the 2 of them stayed low to the floor and crawled towards the women's bathroom, barricading the door with their bodies.
Again, smart. Some people have very good survival instincts during this time.
No doubt. Well, they were in a good spot too. It's like, there's survival instinct, but there's also opportunity.
Yeah, very much
so. Like, for instance, the employees were all in the kitchen. There's a whole counter. There's the serving counter. There's all this shit in between him and them. Plus, they have a emergency exit.
Yep.
So he literally couldn't get to them in time. And then this mother-daughter, they just happened to be seated right near the exit in the restaurant.
Yep, right next to the bathrooms too.
Yeah. Oh, right near the bathrooms. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
that's
it
what
was
I meant.
literally just being like, normally that's kind of a shitty table. When you're like, really? Right next to the bathroom? Okay.
Yeah,
but
right.
in this one situation, you're like, get in the bathroom.
Exactly. Hennard then passed by the Gracia family and killed Nancy Stansberry. His next victim was Juanita Williams, who ended up dying from several gunshot wounds to the abdomen. Now, it's unknown how Sylvia King spent her last moments since she had been eating alone, but the beauty shop owner was later found right next to Jimmy Carruthers, who was also deceased. At some point during the carnage, Hennard began to use his other gun now, a Ruger P89 pistol. "I've got to do something. He's going to kill everybody in here." Susanna looked over at her father. She said, "Yeah, but Dad, you can't." She tried to hold him down. But when her father saw that what he thought was an opportunity, Al Gracia stood up and ran towards the shooter. His arms were outstretched to grab him. Hennard was about 15 feet away at this time, and Al got about half the distance before he was shot in the chest. He was 71 years old, and he was a World War II veteran. He collapsed onto his side in the aisle. Gracia was still alive when he hit the floor, but Susanna saw the wound and knew right then that he was a goner. Luckily, Gracia's actions had altered Hennard's path. Instead of coming closer to their table, he went off to the left. So he kind of did save his family with this.
Mm-hmm.
He changed the direction,
Yep. And again, this was a 71-year-old. Like, this guy probably had, like I said, like built-in bravery from whatever he had done previously. He's charged gunfire before, but doing it in your early 20s versus doing it in your early 70s.
Big difference.
Big difference in how quickly you can cover 15 feet.
Absolutely. Yep. Hennard finally made his way towards the serving line, what everyone was fearing, where dozens laid face down and completely exposed. They didn't have any furniture. There was no tables, nothing to turn over. George Osborne was shielding his wife Ethel and covering her face. Hennard came closer and the Osbornes held their breath. Bang! He shot and killed Claudine Humphrey, who was just a few inches away. Mr. Osborne felt the heat from the fire, but he and his wife were unharmed. Behind one of the waiting benches, Hennard saw Connie Miller and Roxanne Peters. His footsteps came closer, and Peters was refusing to look at him. "You trying to hide from me, bitch?" he said. Hennard executed Miller with a shot to the back of the head. Then he shot Reverend Shannon McMullen in the leg. Then Hennard shot Zona May Lynn, who was still underneath the bench, killing her instantly. He walked along the serving line, stopping at Charlene Smith. She waited for her turn, but it never came. Apparently, Hennard's Ruger P89 was out of ammo. So he placed the gun on a tray of food. There's actually a picture of this. He does. He just smashes it right on a tray of food. And he left the waiting area. And now he's using his Glock 17 again.
So yeah, he uses a gun. It runs out of ammo. He puts that gun away. He uses the other gun. It runs out of ammo. He reloads that gun, uses that gun again until it runs out of ammo, and then he just ditches that gun.
Yes.
So he goes back to the original gun and now reloads this gun again.
Yes.
So he's brought multiple mags for each gun, but he's trying to like kind of John Wick himself into not losing a gun until he's completely out of ammo with it.
Right. Exactly.
So he's planned this enough to where he is trying to use up every last bullet.
Yep. So at this time, once he's reloaded the Glock, he turns to his right and he sees Anika McNeil, who was holding her 3-year-old daughter, Lakeisha. He had previously wounded McNeil's mother, Oljika Taylor. Earlier, he shot her in the leg. Hennard saw Lakeisha and stepped aside for Anika McNeil and her child to run. He said, "Get that kid out of here. I ain't killing no babies today. Tell everyone that Bell County was bad."
Something this county, man. He is not happy about this county.
Seriously. When Oljika Taylor stood up to join her daughter and granddaughter, Hennard shot her in the face.
Again, she already has a gunshot wound to the leg.
She does.
So she tries to get, he lets her daughter and her granddaughter run out of the restaurant, and like she tries to get up, and he lets them get away first, and then just turns and executes her.
Yep.
Like how much of like
brutal.
Everyone talks about how this was just like, it seemed like just a big betrayal. But again, at the same time, he never told that lady that she was going to leave.
No.
He told the mother to get her daughter out of here.
He did. Yeah.
So.
Still conscious, John Romero Jr. Clutched his blood-soaked shirt as Hennard was beginning his third lap around the dining room. Kirby Lack was still lying face down. He also got shot, I think, in like the lower abdomen.
Okay.
He got shot in the lower abdomen. And he was in no pain, but he had lost a good amount of blood from the wound on his hip. Okay, the hip, right. But he was just laying there motionless, basically playing dead. Hoping that Hennard would keep on walking by. The shooter saw that Romero, though, was still alive. Another round went into the young man's chest, and he laid still. In a final act of bravery, Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Doty shouted, "Why don't you just get out of here and leave us alone?" Bang! Lack felt Doty's body relax as he heard the man's death rattle. The pastor refused to move or react. That's Lack. He's a pastor, Kirby Lack is. But something told Hennard that he was alive. He kicked the pastor. Nothing. He bent down, straddling Lack's waist. Hennard then pulled his head off the carpet by his hair, pointing the gun to the soft spot on the back of his head. With his eyes closed, Lack said what he thought would be his final prayer. Then thud, bang! The sound came from across the room. The distraction saved Kirby Lack's life. Hennard looked up, shifting his gun right as it fired. Lack opened his eyes and saw the tear in the carpet just a few inches from his face, dude.
God,
that is insane.
Now, some people might believe in the power of prayer right now. Some people might not. But yeah, that was seemingly an act of God almost right here, where this guy has a gun to his head and he misses.
Regardless of what you believe, the man has a hell of a testimony.
Yeah. Guardian angel, my ass. You got something looking out for you.
Seriously. In the back of the restaurant, old Tommy Vaughn. Remember Tommy Vaughn? Big boy.
Oh,
Big wrestler Tommy Vaughn and his mechanic buddies. They were trying to break a window that was next to them.
Threw a goddamn chair at it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And this alerted the shooter, obviously, so he went down there to check it out. But when kicking and throwing stuff didn't work at breaking the window, Vaughn stood up and said, someone gasped and said, "Tommy, he's coming." So Vaughn threw his whole fucking body through the window.
Right? Just fucking Kool-Aid man.
Didn't even look at Hennard. He said, I knew if I looked at him, I would freeze. Mm-hmm. He said, so I didn't even look. He said, I just smashed through the window. So now outside, Vaughn stood up and he took off. On his way out, he passed an officer. And the officer said, "How bad is it?" He said, "It's bad. It's really bad." The makeshift escape route, though, allowed a lot of other people to flee the building, and Vaughn was later credited with saving an estimated 20 people, dude, thanks to breaking this window. So, because they were scattered all over the place, and yeah, he was firing, but he wasn't hitting anybody.
Yeah, because now they're all out of the restaurant running.
Exactly. But meanwhile, back in the restaurant, 67-year-old Ursula Gracia crawled over to her husband, Al. Al was the 71-year-old war vet who tried to charge Hennard. And at this time, he appeared to be drifting in and out of consciousness. Hennard turned, and he spotted her. He walked over to their spot, disregarding, any of the victims who were running out of the window now. And as Ursula cradled Al's head in her lap, an officer came through the broken window. Now, at this point, there had been no clear description of the shooter. But he saw this man, a tall, dark-haired man, pointing a gun at an elderly couple. Ursula looked up at Hennard and then bowed her head back towards her husband when he shot both of them. The officer recoiled, then radioed for backup. There were still too many people in the restaurant for him to actually open fire at this time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He didn't know who was behind him. He didn't know
how many shooters there were.
Exactly. Nevertheless, it was Ursula's sacrifice that bought others enough time to stand up and flee. A lot of people got away because of that, and she also confirmed the identification of the shooter.
Mm-hmm. The authorities were able to see
shooting
that he was
in that cop's presence confirmed that. So she died, but it was not in vain. Her decision to stay behind was a no-brainer, as Susanna would later realize. Al and Ursula Gracia had just celebrated their 47th wedding anniversary on October 3rd, and she wasn't going anywhere without her husband. In the parking lot, officers Kenneth Olson and Chuck Longwell made their way towards the building. From the south window, they saw that Hennard had his gun pointed towards the floor. And knowing that he was about to shoot someone else, Longwell quickly fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Hennard looked up and returned the fire. "He's shooting at us," Longwell shouted. "I need units to go to the north side." Officer Al Morris did just that. Now panicked, Hennard tried to reload his gun, but he was trying to put the Ruger's magazine into the Glock. Yeah, so he cursed to himself before finding the right bullets. Olson and Longwell dove in through the curtains. Pop! A round went into the shooter's arm. Hennard ran towards the bathroom alcove. "Fuck you," he screamed, ducking behind the wall. "I've got hostages." Morris had a clear view. Nobody was with him. He said, "No, you don't." He says, "Well, I'll kill more fucking people, I swear."
I love the idea right here, this one notion.
No, you don't.
Because you know that's a Texas cop being like, "I got hostages." The fuck you do, boy?
I can see you. But
you ain't got nothing but my sights on you, boy.
Right. But Morris managed to get the restaurant's south end as Longwell and Olson kept Hennard pinned down. He saw the bodies, worried that he wasn't going to find anyone alive. Then he saw Kirby Lack, who had raised his head up. "It's okay," Morris said, placing a hand on the pastor's shoulder. "We're going to flank him." He then ducked behind a flimsy serving cart, coming to the officer's aid. Morris drew his weapon and pulled the trigger. Bang! He moved closer, using the truck as a shield. Bang! Bang! Hennard groaned as another round hit him, this time right in the chest. "Drop your weapon," Olson screamed. Instead, when Hennard fell to the floor, he turned over on his back and placed the gun to his right temple. A final shot rang out, and George Hennard laid still. His entire attack only lasted 12 minutes.
It was a chaotic 12 minutes, though.
Dude, it felt like eternity. You know it did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know it did. Those who could stand up and move quickly followed the officer's all-clear message and got out of the building. News vans were pulling up, cameras were rolling, first responders were rolling in. One responder later said that seeing all the bodies reminded him of Jonestown.
God.
They were told to check for a pulse and signs of life, and if there were none, move on and evaluate the next body. One medic in particular came inside and begun to cart people off, but he was informed to check the body in the alcove by the bathrooms, which was being guarded by an officer. At first glance, the medic knew right away there was no way on earth this man should be alive. The eyes were wide and haunting. He had blood pooling beneath him, and so he checked the wrist for a pulse. "He's dead," the medic said. The officer looked at him. He said, "Good riddance."
Yeah, you guys got to remember that at the time, this was the biggest shooting in America at forever.
Until Virginia Tech.
Until Virginia Tech. And that was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So this one was the largest mass shooting in America for a while. Yep. So like nobody had really seen a mass shooting, especially in this close proximity, because we had seen like the Texas bell tower sniper before.
Yes, yeah. We've covered them.
It was such a large area of damage because he's up in such a high area that he's shooting people in this huge courtyard, in this huge pavilion area where he can hit shots and get people crazy distances away. This is all inside a restaurant. It looks just like a absolute bloodbath of a shootout, but it was just one guy coming in there.
Right.
So
it's horrific, dude. As time went by, bodies were evacuated. Hundreds of photographs were taken. News reports all over the country were talking about Luby's. At least 9 of the victims' names were released to the public by midnight in Killeen. And I do have a full list of those victims. They are Patricia Carney, Jimmy Carruthers, Kitty Davis, Stephen Doty, Al and Ursula Gracia, Deborah Gray, Michael Griffith, Venice Hennahan, Sylvia King, Connie Miller, Ruth Pujol, Suzanne Rachat, John Romero Jr., Thomas Simmons, Nancy Stansbury, Olgica Taylor, Lula Welsh, and Juanita Williams. Not pictured are Claudine Humphrey, Zona Maylin, Glenn Spivey, James Welsh.
Yeah, again, largest mass shooting in America up until the Texas Tech shooting.
Yes.
So this guy did... Virginia Tech. This guy did so much damage in 12 minutes.
He did.
This guy took twice as many lives as he was for shooting.
Devastating. With 2 pistols, dude. 2 pistols and 4 magazines.
Mm-hmm. This guy was not, like I said, he was not wasting bullets.
No.
He was not coming in there shooting crazy shots. He was not just firing into the air and firing randomly. He was going around methodically shooting at people.
Yes.
Trying to kill them. Not just trying to hit as many people as possible.
No.
Trying to kill them.
Absolutely. The Luby's Cafeteria donated $100,000 for funeral expenses. And also other donations from across the country came in from all over the place, helping victims and victims' families. The company also insisted on demolishing the Killeen Lubys, but a lot of the survivors insisted that the building remain standing. They said because if the building was gotten rid of, then the shooter would win.
Oh, definitely.
So the cafeteria underwent extensive remodeling and reopened in 92 the next year, but ultimately went out of business in 2000. So it lasted another 8 years. It's now a Chinese-American buffet called Yangsing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
Yeah, it's probably still fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, as Andy mentioned, the massacre at Luby's Cafeteria was the deadliest shooting by a lone gunman in U.S. history. The deadliest shooting in U.S. history by a lone gunman until Sung Hyu Cho opened fire at Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. April of 2007 is when that happened.
And you guys covered that one before, didn't you?
Actually, I don't think we have. We've done the Texas Tower Sniper.
Yeah, I remember that
We've done Port Arthur.
I couldn't remember if you had already
We've done the
Virginia
post
Tech.
office one. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we've done Virginia Tech.
Well, guess we might have to do Virginia Tech now at some point if we haven't already.
Yeah, I guess so.
But God, yeah, this was just such a close quarters massacre because that's what it really was. It wasn't.
Absolutely.
This wasn't somebody wandering around, a huge property. Wasn't something like the even the Port Arthur massacre where it was just a large area of a thing with a guy with an assault rifle walking around taking shots. This was a restaurant with 2 pistols and 1 guy.
Yeah, and people were trapped.
Yeah.
They were absolutely trapped. He was shooting anyone who drew attention to themselves.
Yeah, and he did it so quickly, there wasn't even enough time for the police to really get there and build up a presence.
Right.
Like the first few officers on the scene took him out. Like that's how fast the shooting was.
Yeah. Like I said, the whole ordeal, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's so terrifying because it's like this tactic, it could be used anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, smashing a truck through a damn window, then getting out and just firing.
Oh, yeah. It is terrorism.
Holy shit.
That is terrorism at its peak.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Devastating.
Yeah, like we alluded to earlier, we don't have answers to why this guy did any of the things that he did.
No. He was in the Coast Guard for a good bit of his life, and he really liked sailing. He liked being in the Coast Guard. And I do know he was kicked out of the Coast Guard for quote-unquote marijuana addiction. Whatever that means in the 80s. But he didn't take that very well. He did not like that very much at all. That was kind of, I think in a way, that was kind of like them taking away his man card for him.
Taking away a big part of his identity, at least.
Yes, a big part of his identity. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I don't know, maybe that is what he's talking about. Maybe you can't blame the county for your federal discharge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He seemed to have a lot of hatred towards the women of this county.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So.
Yeah, he did.
But there was no, like we talked about previously, there was no custody battle going on. There was no ugly divorce he was going through. Like there was nothing clear on paper that made it seem why he did this.
Right.
Because a lot of people would have thought when he came in there that he was looking for someone in particular, maybe looking for an ex-wife, maybe looking for a target, maybe looking for somebody who had wronged him, but nobody in that restaurant seemed to be like his specific target.
Nope.
So
no, and we only have the things that he said. They searched his home and there were notes found, but nothing that would lead to any type of motive. It was just like little notes he left to himself, like don't forget to do this or make sure you pick up this or what, you know what I'm saying? Like just little shit like that. That's all it was. There was nothing, there wasn't no crazy like propaganda or nothing in his house. It's just, it's weird, man.
No, all of it is very weird.
Now, I know he did stalk these 2 teenage girls for a little while that lived in his neighborhood, to the point where the mother had called the police multiple times on him. Now, he never went over the line, but he was definitely creepy.
Yeah.
Definitely not trustworthy. Like going to their places of work and just staring at them, like writing them letters and stuff about like, them being together and stuff and shipping it to them or putting it in their mailbox or whatever. But it was never, according to the police, it was never enough to intervene. Yeah. So maybe, I'm not saying that the rejection of these 2 girls is what caused them, because I feel like they never led him on, right? It's like you didn't get rejected, you got ignored. Like it's like you were creeping them out. You're an adult man. They're teenagers. Like, I don't know. But maybe that played into it a little bit. But other than that, dude, I mean, people said he was creepy, he was standoffish, maybe a little high-strung, but no one thought he was capable of this.
No, absolutely not. And at this time, nobody thought anybody was capable of this.
That's true.
So
that's very true. I know one neighbor in particular said that they couldn't even believe that he drove his truck through the window because they said that he babied that truck. They said he washed it every day.
Okay, it's a Ranger. Come on.
It's an 87 Ranger. How dare you?
How dare you?
To be fair, it's an 87 Ranger in 91. Okay, I think it's 4 years old.
Yeah,
it's
got city miles on it.
Yeah.
It's still got that new car smell, Michael.
Right. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, it's the 90s. It smelled like cigarettes, and you know it.
Yeah. You know
well, his probably smelled like weed.
You know, get that cigarette smell out though, Michael.
Some Oh My Gaia probably would.
I bet it would do a good.
It'll help.
Do some wonders.
It'll help. Oh My Gaia is an innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. And there's tons of scents to cover up that old cigarette smell, like vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside, bergamot, amber, pear, sweet pea, sailor, barbershop. And we even got our own scent, True Crimepine.
Ooh, you don't know where to start? Start there, people.
Start there. It's great. Great for the winter. Great for the fall. It's evergreen. Mm-hmm. It's a pine. Come on, man. And because you guys are True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the word Crimepine, Crimepine, no spaces, Crimepine, for 15% off your order at ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com. Also, check them out on Instagram at shop_ohmygaia. Also, you can give us a follow on Instagram or on Facebook and TikTok and all the things at True Crime Guys.
Yes, you can.
And we'll keep you up to date on all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on in the true crime world, as well as some entertaining reels from time to time. Right, Andy?
I believe so.
I believe so. But guys, thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys, where you can get access to everything we've ever made with none of those pesky ads. We don't charge you a fee and then give you ads like Netflix does.
Yeah, right? Ha. We're not Amazon.
Well, I mean, Oh My Gaia ads are in there, but they're baked in, guys.
Yeah.
And it's Oh My Gaia. Come on. Oh My Gaia's friends, not ads.
Right?
Yeah. Come on, get with it, people.
They are family.
But guys, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the show. If you have an opportunity, please leave a rating, leave a review on whatever platform you're on. It helps the show greatly. Share it with a friend. And if you got a case suggestion, send it our way. All right? Andy, you got anything?
I do not, Michael. I think you killed this one.
All right. Well, guys, we'll talk at you next week with another True Crime Guys case. Until then, just keep on creeping.
Bye.